Well, good morning, everyone. I could still say it. I have 25 minutes. Welcome to this week's edition of Coffee Talk. I hope that you're doing well. Last week, we discussed the three forces. We have the first force, which is our intention, the second force, which is the reactive force, and then, of course, the third force, which is when the two forces come to meet. So I use the analogy, the airplane, when you adjust the wing, if the wing is tipped upright and it meets the wind, you have lift. If my wing is tipped down and it meets the wind, I'm going to have decline. And the concept was to develop a will. And remember, we mentioned that the willpower is like an ethereal muscle, that it needs to be worked. We have to strengthen it and work it out. Now, the question is, what do we do to develop our willpower? Before I answer that, I'd like to make a comment. Most of the time when we start an initiating force, it's with the negative. For example, when we go on a diet, we say we stop eating sugar. We don't eat the candy. We don't eat the cupcakes or the cookies or the pizza. We stop, and we're mentioning all the things we're stopping doing. And therefore, this gives us a negative connotation. What we'd like to do is change that around. Instead of focusing on the things we're not doing, it would be appropriate to focus on the things that we're doing, have a positive statement. Therefore, we would say, I'm eating healthier. I'm eating more salads. I'm drinking more water. Those are the things that we can do. We're eating more protein. I'm watching my calories, things that we're doing in a positive venue. By putting that positive note to on it, we feel good about it. I think that's all I want to say that. So let's tie that back to willpower. When it comes to the development of willpower, we practice with a positive note rather than a negative. What does that mean? Okay, one of the easiest willpower exercises to do is to challenge yourself to sit still and not move. Now, of course, I just said not move, but the challenge is to sit still. Pick a time, 30 seconds. Now, I mean sit still, meaning not nose, not itching, not twitching, nothing. Sit still. And what's amazing about this is when we sit still, feet flat on the floor, it's very helpful if you have your back nice and straight and place your hands right on your lap. And the funniest thing will happen. Set a timer so that you're not counting. Just set a timer and sit still. The idea is keep your eyes open and not move your eyes. You can blink naturally. Sitting still requires willpower. And the funniest thing is going to happen. All of a sudden you realize you have an itch. You have to itch your nose, or your head itches, or you've got to move your toes. Monitor your body and be aware of what's happening. This is one of the easiest things to do. Sit still. Now, they typically recommend starting this with 5 minutes. It's a very difficult thing to do, but you can do it. You can do it for 5 minutes. And the attention is focused on not moving, sitting still, practicing relaxing your body and sitting still. Try it with your eyes closed, try it with your eyes open. Doesn't matter. I would suggest putting the timer on your phone so the timer goes off to let you know the time is up. That's a very simple, easy thing to do. Now, you may ask, well, how does that develop will? Because you are developing the strength, the inner strength, remember, the ethereal muscle, not to move. You're ignoring all those twitches and itches and desires to scratch. You're ignoring them. You're overcoming the unconscious scratch. You're overcoming it and you're becoming in control of your body. That's one very easy thing to do. Another very easy exercise, we used to talk about this in the classroom. A lot of Buddhist monks would practice this. Take 9 matches. The wooden matches are perfect, and line them all up so the heads are facing one way. And then when you start this, you turn the matches over one by one without thinking of anything but the match. And give yourself a time limit, 5 minutes. As soon as you recognize that your mind has gone and wandered off, turn the matches over again and start again. And of course, this is the same thing. We're developing the conscientiousness to be in control of our mind. This is why meditation is so good too. Meditation is an excellent practice of willpower, to sit and meditate and be in control of your thoughts and your mind, and not letting them drift and wander. Another really good exercise for willpower is at the end of the day, or if you just get home from work and you're tired, get up and go for a walk. Go outside and walk. Make yourself not fall into the, I just want to sit and veg. Get up and do something before you sit down. I also like the practice of willpower is making yourself do something you'd rather not do. The Queen of Clean, I think I said that right. She's notorious for, instead of cleaning all day weekend, do one thing a day. One load of laundry in one room clean, or dust for the day, and then vacuum one day. But give yourself an opportunity to do something you don't really want to do, but do it once a day instead of wasting your whole weekend. Squeeze it in. This is an excellent willpower. Who wants to clean every single day of their lives? But when you do it, you actually feel pretty good at the end of the weekend, because now you're not stuck cleaning for the weekend. So that is another idea. Give yourself something to do that you normally would not do. That's the development of willpower. If you really want to take it to the next level, a great way to develop willpower is confront your fears. If you're terrified of something, do it. If you're afraid of heights, go stand in a very high, tall building. Take a risk. Those are the things to do. So afraid of heights, go be on a bridge. I know some people that are terrified they won't go on a bridge. Go up on the bridge. Look over. Don't jump, obviously, but look over. And so I'm talking about any kind of risk. It doesn't have to be a huge, tremendous risk. Of course, I am someone who loves to take risks. I've been skydiving and kayaking with killer whales and rappelling and splunking. Those are great risks. Anytime you face a risk, you're developing willpower, because there's always that thing in the back of your mind that says, fear, fear, don't do, don't do, don't do. But then when you do it, you actually put in energy towards your will. And again, you're strengthening that ethereal muscle that we call willpower. When we strengthen that muscle, then it's easier to rely on it, especially when we're about to do something that's difficult or that we don't want to do. Those are the best things to do when it comes to willpower. Now, the other thing that I want to mention is about goals. Willpower, when we set a goal, it requires our willpower to accomplish it. Some people wait for the pressure, and they use that pressure to help motivate them. And I understand that that works. However, you can use will and not experience pressure. Willpower is very beneficial for us when we develop it correctly. Now, I've given you a couple of things to remember. So sit and do not move. So sit quietly and focus your attention on not moving, staying still. Again, we want to make it a positive form. So sit and stay still. That's one thing. Monitor your thinking. So this would be like meditating. When you go into a meditative state, make sure that you're not wandering off. The changing of the objects. So I mentioned matches. Take 9 matches with a match head. You can use cups. I've had clients do this before. Just take cups, glasses, lay them out on the table and flip them over one at a time, and you cannot think of anything but the action that you're doing. As soon as you recognize that your mind is off drifting, stop, start over again, and then see how many times you can go down and back again without thinking of anything. Of course, these are very beneficial to put it to time. So timing these events, 5 minutes is what they usually say. I actually have a discipline that I've used for many years. I have a bag of beads. I think there's 72 beads. And in the morning, I would throw them on the floor. And then spend the next 20 minutes, not throw, I would just toss them out on the floor, and then collect the beads without thinking of anything else but the beads. And you can't take a scoop, you have to take one at a time. So if you have 6 in a row next to you, just pick up one and place it in the dish. Pick up the next and place it in the dish. I've done this for years. I don't do it all the time, but every time I want to work on my willpower, that's one of the things I go to. I have these fluorescent yellow beads, and they're very easy to see on the carpet. And then, you know, knowing how many there are is also helpful, because this way I don't leave an extra one down there. I have to make sure I have 72 beads. I have to make sure and count that I have 72 beads. And again, the intention is to focus on the task at hand and not let your mind drift off. That develops willpower. Another really good willpower, I forgot to mention this, George used to talk about this all the time, and I started doing this. When we sit down to write a paper on a workshop or a training, or even just writing, sit and look at the blank screen. Even if you don't have anything in mind, start typing, start writing, doing anything. I don't want to say forcing yourself, but you're putting yourself in the creative by just typing. It doesn't, even if you just do gibberish. When I first started doing it, I would say Jack is a good boy. Remember that from The Shining? All work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, or something like that. I would do that until I finally would get a thought, and then just follow on the thought, even if it's just gibberish. But you're forcing yourself to, or you're empowering your willpower to pull forward that creativity, and you just start typing. Lots of times, some of the things that I've written were best when I didn't know what I was going to say. And I would sit at the computer and stare at the blank screen. I remember I had a conversation with George one time, and he said he stood at 2 o'clock in the morning. He would get up and stare at the screen for 2.5 hours without even writing one word, waiting and waiting for it to come through. That's a development of willpower as well. All right, I've given you a couple of good suggestions. Now remember, the development of willpower helps us when it comes to the 3 forces: initiation, second force is the reaction when they combine together, then we have the third force, which is lift. So therefore, remember, when I develop my willpower, I'm strengthening, or I'm giving energy to this first force. I'm preparing myself for the second force. And remember, the second force is not singling you out. Life is not going, Michael, I see you, I'm not going to let you succeed. That's not it. The second force happens naturally. Just like when you put your hand in a tub of water, you push the water forward, the water automatically fills in behind you. That's nature. It automatically balances out. We have to remember that when we're starting and initiating, nature is going to balance it and attempt to counterbalance what we're doing. They want to balance out this force. Therefore, when I'm prepared, I can use that force for a lift. Thanks for letting me ramble on about this topic of willpower. I love willpower and the development of willpower. I might even consider doing that next month in February. And as a reminder, I wanted to mention that we are uploading videos to our YouTube channel. I haven't mentioned our YouTube channel in a long time. If you go to The Omega Vector, I've actually been retitling them. They used to just say Monday Night Workshop. I've changed them now to where they actually say the title or the topic of what we're discussing. And so we have about 50 somewhat videos that are up there now. I've got another 30 that I'm trying to get uploading, and that's what we'd like to do, eventually keep it up. So again, it's the YouTube channel, The Omega Vector. Go ahead and subscribe, and then you have access to all the videos of the workshops that we've done. I think the earliest is 2013. So you get to see a number of workshops. It's quite funny when I'm picking thumbnails. You can see a lot of me, my hands are, I obviously talk with my hands. It's very funny when we do that. So I'd recommend to do that. Also, if you're interested in next month's Omega Insights, go ahead and type down some topics that you would like us to discuss. Thank you for the woman who wanted us to discuss the core values. Monday, we'll be discussing the very last core value that we talk about in Omega 1. I'll give you a little hint. It's called giving. So that's the last core value that we discussed in Omega 1. I will be discussing that on Monday. And fingers crossed, the website should be launched fairly soon. I'm not going to give you a date, but we're very close to launching our updated website. So look forward for that. Okay, thank you. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Good luck practicing your will exercises, and I will talk to you on Monday. Bye now.